بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
It's very interesting. Let me read you something from what Hossein Modarressi himself has said. When I was like reading this, it was interesting for me that I feel like it's there in the English, but it's even more openly said in the Farsi from Hossein Modarressi. This is in the English on page 89. Footnote number 195. The people who critique this work, they said this one footnote, it seems to go against the whole book that you've written. They said this one footnote, it seems to go against the whole book that you've written. He says, this is of course the chronological order of how the community came to know the fact. This certainly does not exclude that the fact was already revealed by God to the Prophet and via him to the Imams, and that they had already informed their reliable associates. As verified by many imamate and even non-imamate reports. So in English, it's very like simply saying that, for example, the belief in like 12 imams, the imams knew it, the close ashab knew it. Later on, this is how people found out. But in the rest of the book, you seem to get a different idea. If you just read without this footnote, you would think he's trying to say that even the imams didn't know, or like even none of the companions knew. This is how it passed on from everyone. But the Farsi, I feel, is very interesting because so one of the critiques that's written against the book is that this Farsi translation is not exactly what the English is saying. That there are things in the Farsi that are not there in the English.
Okay, so now is he adding something or somebody else is adding something?
So the translation was done under his supervision. So he definitely knows about it. And to be fair to him, he says in the start that, look, in the Farsi, I am mentioning things that I did not mention in the English. His argument is that this stuff that I'm saying, I couldn't say it for Western academia. But now I'm putting it in Farsi, so for the Farsi people, they can, I can say it for them. But the people critiquing him, some of them were like, no, we don't accept this excuse. It seems like you just don't want to get a very strong backlash. So now to like tone it down, the Farsi is slightly less harsh than the English.
So it's not a word-for-word translation, the way we understand translations to be.
So most of it is word-to-word, but there are parts that he's added. So for example, just like if I can compare to you this footnote, if you look at, for example, in the Farsi, it's on page 196. So that was the English. The Farsi says تذكر والتأكيد مجدد این نکته در اینجا ضرور است. So he says rather than let me just read instead of reading the whole Farsi to save time, I'll just read for you my translation. He says, it's necessary for me to reiterate and re-emphasize here, as previously stated, that this book is a history of the sect and not a theological treatise. And this is the important part. From the perspective of proof and theological reasoning, given the overwhelming multitude of relevant narrations, evidence, and countless indications, no reasonable and fair-minded person can doubt that the blessed names of the pure Imams were known to the Prophet Muhammad, the pure Imams, and those whom these eminent figures informed. The discussion revolves around how the Shia community, meaning the ordinary individuals, including narrators and others, meaning everyone except the custodians of the secrets of Imamat, became aware of these truths. So in the Farsi, he's being more explicit. He's like, a fair-minded person cannot look at this evidence and say, oh no, the Imams didn't know, or the companions didn't know. So I feel like these people, who bring these arguments, I don't think a fair-minded person can reach such a conclusion.
Okay, so if Imam Sadiq himself, right, he comes and says, and because I've seen this narration, I looked up the chain, and the chain was completely authentic. And, funny enough, they jump on this one narration from Ibn Abi Yafur and Mawla ibn Khunais, where Ibn Abi Yafur says they are ulemā abrār, right? But then there is another narration where the chain was authentic. So, that's a strict way of looking at it, but it's strict, where, everybody has to be sikha. They have to be 12 imami, they have to be reliable, right? And we go forward from there. So now, if I have such a narration, which I have seen, and Imam Sadiq himself is using the word imaman min Allah, right? So if Imam Sadiq tells me this, right, why should I, as a believing Shia Muslim, come and say, oh, this is a fabrication, it's a concoction?
I think people who make this argument, there's only one option they have, and that's only that they can say that, these narrations, even though there is a authentic chain, they'll be like, no, we can't accept that the Imam ever said that he is Imam min Allah. So if you've already like come with this conception, like you already bought this, that okay, there's no way he's Imam from Allah. He's not chosen by Allah.
Yeah.
If you've already like bought that, then any evidence that's posted against you, shown to you, you will like twist it, or even if like it goes against all kinds of objectivity and standards, you will say, no, this, for example, the ghulat, they made up the chain as well as the mutton, for example.
Oh, that's how far they will go.
Yeah. So they'll say everything. But like if you're being like very like academic, okay, 1-2 hadith, for example, okay, like you can somehow let that slide. But if, for example, there's so much like pieces of evidence all together accumulating and they're all saying the same thing, then obviously like I don't think any fair-minded person can ever reach such a conclusion.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد